we will not have a safe system. And I think for every corporate, the placement of the ethics committee, the work of the ethics committee, and the people in that ethics committee really set the code of conduct.
As a follow-on, who should be in the ethics committee? Should it be internal or should it be external?
I've tried many experiments with internal. Of course, the CISO is one of them, and some of the important board members are there. But what I try to do when I set up an ethics committee is always have at least one or two outsiders. One usually is a technical expert, which is an individual, and one a representative of some ethical organization. So there is an organizational input and there is a technical individual input. Of course, then there are all of us who are members of the board. That gives, I think, a circularity, a 360-degree view of what exactly the corporate is doing.
Thanks. Srinivas, in terms of standards, rules and policies, where do you see the role of things like ISO or the NIST framework or other institutions? What is your experience been like?
No, so I am part of several such alliances. CSA Alliance is one of them that I'm very close to. So we are defining standards at various layers, defining standards at the model layer, defining standards at the agent layer, defining standards at the data privacy layer, defining standards at the input validation layer. So there are many layers of standard bodies who are very actively working towards a committee approvals on each of these layers of this AI native stack. And as an industry, I think we have made tremendous progress. and it's good to see that the commercial implementations are beginning to follow those guidelines in a good way. But there's still a lot to go, right? Back to what Dr. Chatterjee said. See, even for the foundational work for ethics to work, you need an observability layer across your agents, models, APIs, endpoints. We don't have that yet, right? I mean, you need to go back to, for your audit purpose, you need to have these trails that gives you that full stack visibility. It's there in bits and pieces, but to connect the dots and to show the who, what, when, where, and why, the 5Ws, it's still a very hard problem. So I think, yes, there is standards on one side, there is the tech stacks maturing on the other side, but as an industry, there's still a lot of work to be done.
So, Sanjay, let me add to that. In terms of standards, where are we today? Madam Vice Chancellor spoke about the unified digital code. And I think she also mentioned, and at least we should mention, that's not going to happen if standards are not established. The key standards board of India is the Bureau of Indian Standards, the BIS. I happen to chair the committee on responsible business. Unfortunately, so far, we have not included in our scope of work standards on AI. But I know now that the ministry is trying to ask the Bureau of Indian Standards to constitute a special committee on trying to develop standards. We cannot have policy. We cannot have a unified digital code unless the standards are first established. And the first task that the committee does is to look at the existing standards across the globe and try and see what best we can take from it. And then we go from the larger spectrum to the drive down, deep down, and see what's good for our country. And in that process, there's a huge consultation process that takes place in the formulation of standards. Whatever we formulate, we put in the public domain for comments for several weeks. We assimilate all of that. We take all stakeholders on board. And it is only then that the standards finally come out. Those are, I think, one of the principal elements that the policymaker and government uses to come out with policy. So for us, that institutionalization of standards for AI is vital.
Do you think standards, Dr. Chatterjee, can take the place of regulation?
No, no, not at all, not at all. Standards are about part of the, what should I say, the process of policy making. In policy making, there are several processes. Standard is a very important process of that policy. But it cannot take the place of policy. And policy leads to what? Policy leads to legislation. Policy leads to legislation, which is a statute. Statute leads to what? Rules and regulations. Rules and regulations lead to what? Penalties and enforcement. So this particular chain is triggered. One of the trigger responses is this formulation of standards.
Dr. Chatterjee, don't put that.
I don't want to be a monologue, so
No, it's not a monologue. We have Srinivas. Srinivas, we're coming to you. Just give me a second. You deal with a lot of corporate boards, etc. Where do you see the level of awareness about AI and AI in cyber at corporate boards? Because that becomes important also.
in a scale of 1 to 10, 2 years ago, I would say 4. 6 months ago, I would say 6. That's it.
Srinivas, do you deal with corporate boards? What is your perception?
I would echo what Dr. Chatterjee said. It's about level 4, and then 6 now. I mean, it's inching. It's inching. Every 6 months, it's going up by a notch. But I think that's where the awareness is, and largely is because there aren't a whole lot of production systems deployed yet to fully understand and learn from what is working and what is not working yet, right? So I think that is, unless where the rubber hits the road, right? Unless we see a lot of these production systems operating at scale, is when we will start to learn from what is really working, what is not working, and of course then that will define the standards to retrofit to the new circumstances, and then the technical stacks and the integrations and the production maturity components, the KPI metrics, all of that to be redefined to suit that. So I think we still have a lot of wheels to climb there.
Pardon? Well, if they're giving the signals, I'm ready. Are they? Okay. Okay. I'll just ask you one final closing question. As far as when you look at nuclear energy, we have the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Commission, etc. Some people have suggested that AI needs an international body because of the implications of AI. Just very briefly, since we're getting that Oscar hook, do you think we need an international organization like that? From whether it's standards, enforcement, watching, all those things, etc. Dr. Chatterjee, and I'll ask Srinivas too.
In my opinion, yes, for a reason. I would look at that body not so much as enforcement, because that's almost different, but as a platform for discussion, for debate, because all of humanity is concerned with this. And it would also be a platform for sharing of best practices, knowledge dissemination, dialogue. All of this is a body that we are frantically searching for. Problems we face in India, to whom do I articulate them? If it's a peace situation or war situation, I articulate my concerns where? To the United Nations. If I am we are literally, Sanjay, faced with a war situation. Where do I articulate my, the grievances that I feel, the hurts which I encounter every day? Where do I let out my frustrations, my problems, my difficulties? I need ventilation. And where would I do that? Because I need other people to share with me that your pain is mine. When Prime Minister Modi goes to Malaysia and talks about all the attacks that are happening across the world, you get a fellow feeling from the nation of Malaysia that yes, terrorism is something that we will take a unified stand on. Why? Because there is a unity of feeling, the unity of pain. And because there are international bodies at which we can articulate, we can share, we can speak, we can discuss. And it is for this reason that I believe that the time has come for an international agency.
Srinivas will have you in. Dr. Chatterjee says yes, 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 an international body. Do you say yes or no? Just briefly, because we are getting a hook here.
No, it is complete yes, and I would totally agree and echo with Dr. Chatterjee, what Dr. Chatterjee has said. Yes, I think we also on a different note, as you know, we are also depleting our natural resources. So I think as the scale out of data centers is happening, that's putting a lot of pressure on natural resources, and so we need alternate sources of power and alternate sources of to fuel the next AI generated economy. So I think in terms of an independent body that can govern and define that, is very important.
Wonderful. Well, I really would request all of you to give a big round of applause to our amazing panelists for humoring me for all those questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Chatterjee. Thank you, Srinivas, for being up. You can go back to bed. And thank you for that amazing insight. And thanks to CyberPeace and the entire volunteer team. They do an amazing job. And thank you to our amazing audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We thank both our esteemed speakers, Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, former Director General and CEO, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and Mr. Srinivas for participating in this panel discussion and for sharing such powerful thoughts. We also thank our moderator, Mr. Sanjay Puri, Chairman and Founder, Knowledge Networks, for conducting the session so smoothly. Thank you so much once again. Ladies and gentlemen, this panel discussion on AI safety and trust, building responsible AI for a secure digital future has come to a close. Now I request Mr. Suresh Yadav, Director, Commonwealth Secretariat, to kindly join us on stage to honor the guests. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Sir, I request you to kindly felicitate Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, former Director General and CEO, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and contribution to the session, for your valuable inputs. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee. And we also request sir to please honor Mr. Sanjay Puri, our moderator, Chairman and Founder, Knowledge Networks, for his immense contribution to the session. Thank you so much. Yes, certainly. He'll get a new one for himself, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, there is going to be a special launch. We request you to kindly stand by for the same.